Lynn?
Here. Got
Murray?
here.
Rowe?
Here.
OJ?
Here.
Chair Lee?
Here. First order of business, consideration and appropriate action relating to request for approval of the consent agenda. Are there any questions or motions on the consent agenda?
I move to approve.
Second.
All right, let's vote.
Bonds?
Yes.
Montgomery?
Yes.
Lynn?
Yes.
Murray?
Yes.
Rowe?
Yes.
OJ?
Yes.
Chair Lee?
Yes. All right, we'll pull item number 2. I understand that there's, on item 3, I understand that there's been a request to postpone this item until we have a better grasp on the JAA and JPWA financials. And I'm okay with that. Is this something we need to vote on, or?
Just voting to table it?
I guess I don't know if we're tabling it or continuing it or what the terminology is exactly, but in any case, I'm okay with it.
And why are we tabling it or delaying it exactly?
As I understand it, there's a trustee who wanted to wait until we had more information as far as the financials of the JPWA and the JAA, and I'm not sure, maybe Robert Sauceda, you could give us an idea of what, when we'll have that better idea and what it is we are lacking.
Okay, so there was a bit of a breakdown in the communication, but the explanation is there's some confusion on the kind of the information that we covered last month, where the 1.7 million from the land transaction where the waterfront currently sits on, that money was set aside for the JAA. So the money was kept with the JPWA, and that money was set aside for the JAA to cover any future operating losses. And for the past couple of years, there have been transfers from the JAA, from the JPWA to the JAA to fill in any revenue loss or any, basically to fill in the hole. So back in 2017, we transferred 400,000. Back in 2018, there was, let's see, $320,000, and then last year's transfer was 75,000. So there's confusion as to whether or not this money set aside from the JPWA that resulted from this land sale and these transfers over the past 3 years, some trustees thought that this money was just set aside, and it would take a vote of council or of the trustee to approve any transfers. So there's just trying to get some sort of clarity on this transaction history.
Well, and Robert, I would just also say, when we saw that in May, that was the first time we'd ever heard that was going against this credit that we got related to the land. That was the first time we've ever seen that in the years I've been on the JAA. So we were a little confused initially with that. And then when this request came out, there was a lot of discussion, and I'm more talking from the OAF side, trying to figure out which monies were being discussed, because there were other monies that have been, related to Village on Main and other things. So and then so that kind of started some of the internal discussions, and then of course we came here a little bit ago to say, we need to really get all the ducks in a row to understand this.
Yeah. And when this transaction was executed, it was with the understanding that the JPWA would hold on to the funds until the JAA needed them. And like I said, there have been previous transfers, and ultimately what the request for this budget item was, let's just give the JAA its money. So take it from the JPWA, give it to the JAA, because it is the JAA's money. And it would help fill in the hole caused by the shutdown from COVID-19.
I think personally, and by the way, I'm not the one that asked for this to be held, but I was okay. I was definitely okay with it. It creates kind of an odd optic for us that we got to think about from our side of the ledger, and that is, I believe the primary portion of the land involved was titled only under the OAF. And then that was put under the lease agreement. And then, so indirectly, it looks like the value of that land, the OAF is basically funding a deficit, which is, I'm not even sure that's something that we really are set to do. Certainly, we've never talked about that. But again, it's indirect because of the various agreements that are in place. But the optics certainly got us a little concerned too.
Which was another reason why I've requested the financials to take a look as to where we are with JAA, OAF, and JPWA. And I haven't seen anything.
Well, I've sent them.
You should have gotten an email earlier that outlined, I think, Harvey, from what date on was it?
It was 2009 through 2019.
Yeah. But Donna, I would also tell you that doesn't include all the other funds raised by the OAF for the initial construction and some of the earlier dollars, because bluntly, it's kind of hard for us to figure those records out.
Well, we've got records. It's just a matter of crawling in there and digging them out. What I sent was what we had online for the last 10 years to try to give you and I don't know if they've been disseminated to everybody or not, but
I think there was an email that came out earlier this afternoon.
Robert sent it out to us.
Yeah.
It's in the email.
Okay, I haven't seen that yet. I'm sorry. I checked it earlier this morning, but I haven't checked it this afternoon. So I appreciate that.
2:30 this afternoon, Donna.
Okay. I checked mine in the morning. Sorry, I apologize. But 2009 to 2019. That's. I'm excited about that. So thank you. I appreciate it.
and we've got other paper records that, as Trustee Montgomery noted, I mean, there was a lot more raised in the early going because that's how it got started. But that money was all used to actually physically build it, and but there's almost every dollar has gone to some, mainly the distributions have been made to JAA for construction projects, and Robert took those and broke them down by projects, I believe, and I didn't have it by projects, but the Jinx did.
Great, thank you.
All right. So are we okay with tabling this vote until? I mean, is this our next meeting, or when do you think we'll be ready to vote on this, Robert?
I think the plan is to maybe, not sure publicly or individually, maybe one-on-one, just to educate the individual trustees on the the history of these kind of try to get everyone on the same page about the financial credit from the JPWA, the transfers, and then once everyone feels comfortable and we're all on the same page, that we can bring this back for a vote at a future meeting.
Robert, I also think
Can we
that,
just set a date? Sorry, Keith.
but go ahead.
No. I was just saying, can we just set a date and make that our deadline, that we have to have it by this certain time? Because if not, it could go on and on and on. And so, I'm sorry,
And I
Keith,
think
go ahead.
the next meeting would be the third Tuesday of July. So we could aim for that date.
Yeah, and I think one thing we're going to need to do, because and Harvey's mentioned it, he can certainly chime in, that there were some discussions and maybe even some things that were agreed to at some of the previous meetings related to the land and where dollars related to land should go, but I'm not sure it ever happened. Now, Harvey, you may want to elaborate on that.
Well, it was just in the early going, the merger to get to 66 acres, which we called the aquarium campus. Now there's been fringes of that, little splits off and stuff, but it was basically 66 acres and it was treated as one. So it didn't matter where the aquarium was actually placed on the land, or when we made the deal with the Holiday Inn, we didn't actually sell the land. We took payments back with, I think, an override, although I don't ever see what those look like. But the waterfront was really the only one that was sold outright. It's also not clear to me that the part of the land across the street from the waterfront, I don't believe was in the original 66 acres. So that's got to be straightened out. But the idea was that this money would be very, very hard to get to. It was going to be set aside because we didn't have anything more after, if we sold off all the land, and certainly used it to pay deficits. And then along came the, and I don't know, Keith, you probably know the name of it, or any of you may know the name of it, but the money from I'm going to call it surtax on water from some of the industries in Jinx was being allocated to help in some way defray debt or pay debt, or I don't know about paying off deficits, but we really weren't planning on having them. And that was, the last I heard was over $7.5 million. So there's these pockets of money that some of them are called credits, some of them there may actually be physical money, but it just has not been transparent. And I think we need to get a handle on that and make sure we understand what pool's being used to pay what expenses.
I think that the money that was a backup plan, it was to guarantee the debt. I don't know that it was not it wasn't a surtax. If I'm
whatever you call it.
Well, I think his terminology was that the city of Tulsa had one charge and Jinx had another, and that delta was a surcharge.
So the way it works, it's the industrial water sales, and we currently we've only had one client, and that's Green Country Energy. So the agreement was that in exchange for that we would charge them a 25% markup on cost. So the city of Tulsa, we purchase the water, the Green Country Energy power plant consumes the water, and we bill them 25% above cost. So that 25% has been accumulating, in JPWA. And again, this is JPWA money. This is, and I just want to make that clear. It is the authority's money,
Right.
JPWA. And in trying to issue revenue bonds throughout the years for the JAA, they needed a way to collateralize the issuance. So in the event that the aquarium couldn't wouldn't generate enough revenue,
Right.
they needed collateral. So management at that time decided to pledge or use the 25% markup as collateral for the revenue bonds. So in the event that the aquarium didn't generate enough revenue to meet at a minimum, the debt service for that year, we could use the industrial water cells markup. But that's the only event that's for that purpose. It's not for anything else, because again, it's the JPWA's money.
So if the JAA can't pay and the OAF can't pay, then it goes back to the JPWA from this 25%. We'll call it I hate to call it a surtax because that's not exactly what it is. We'll just call it a reserve. And so that would come out of that fund in order to subsidize in case either entity can't pay. Is that correct?
Well, no, let's be clear, Donna. The OAF has no financial obligation to the JAA to fund any deficits at all. We have,
Right.
We're an entity, we're a nonprofit entity that's designed to raise money for the aquarium. And in particular, we focus on raising it for both education and for events
Right.
and for exhibits. And those are our marching orders.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, this is just between the JPWA and the JAA. And this is all under the City of Jean's umbrella.
Well, except to the fact that this credit got commingled in there, and as I understand it, it can be traced back to selling the waterfront land. Now, the money that's being received, and I'm probably not using the right terminology, but either in lease payments or overrides if they meet certain levels of the Holiday Inn, that money is being shown now under JAA's budget, which I could argue probably shouldn't be, but be that because it was related to that land transaction.
Okay.
But at least it's being, we know what the number is, and it's being obviously absorbed by the JAA to run the aquarium.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically lease payments.
Okay. That makes it simple.
But this is going to, we feel like we need to make sure we understand all the rules that are associated with this money, and not be caught just saying, oh, we didn't realize that we just funded $1.7 million because you voted for it. So that's I'd say the summary of why we feel like it's probably best to push the pause button and dig into this a little deeper.
Oh, no, I have no problem with that. Absolutely no problem. I just wanted to kind of try to understand a little bit better. So I appreciate that.
And to further complicate, I mean, there was, it's been too long. I mean, I've been doing this since 1984, so it's been too long. But there was another, when we refinanced the bonds, there was a savings because the interest rates were going to be a little bit lower. And that money was supposed to be kind of set aside for, more of a sinking fund, I guess, long term than anything else. Because we knew the early stages of the debt, we were only paying interest only. But sooner or later, we had to start paying the principal. So there's a lot of moving parts that I just think everybody on JAA should understand it the same way.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
No problem with it.
Thank you.
Thanks,
So if
Harvey.
you need a motion, I'll make a motion to
I'll listen to a table it.
yeah.
Or-
And we're not trying to drag it out. We just want to understand it, whatever time it takes to do that, and be clear about it, transparent to everyone, and we'll get there.
Absolutely.
Okay. So Harvey, you made the motion to table it. Is there a second?
I'll
Second.
second.
Okay, let's vote on that.
Bonds,
Macy?
I
Brandon,
think we're voting.
we're ready to vote.
Bonds,
Yeah.
Montgomery,
Yes.
Lynn,
Yes.
Murray,
Yes.
Rowe,
Yes.
OJ,
Yes.
Charlie.
Yes. All right, we're on to other business. Staff report. Jenny, is that coming from you?
Hello.
Hey, Ken.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Doing great.
All right. We're doing remarkably well right now. Our attendance is pretty strong considering the climate. Sales, ancillary sales, and gift shop and cafe are doing well. We are currently gearing up for 4th of July Boom Fest, and so we're trying to do a few things a little different this year, increase our sources of revenue. We are kind of trying to capitalize on the front of the aquarium as well this year instead of just the back. So we will be providing food and that type of thing out front. We are charging for parking this year. We're hoping that can alleviate some of the gridlock. So we will be using our parking lot, the main visitor parking lot, as well as the grass area to the south. And that will be paid parking for all, not just aquarium visitors. And we're providing some services as well, porta potties and that type of thing. Hand washing stations. And we're also selling, stuff for the kids, glow in the dark toys and that type of thing. And like last year, we're going to have this will be the second year with our playground, which was a real hit, pretty much the centerpiece of the 4th of July event while people were waiting for the fireworks. And we'll also have a few extra activities out there. I think you might have remembered me talking about the mechanical riding, the bull shark ride. So it came in, and we're going to have it out. We're debating on whether it should be on the lawn or inside for the 4th, but it will be part of an activity. It's a paid activity, so we got the shark in, and unfortunately there's we've had to do some touch up on it because there was some extra flair that the company added. So there's blood all over on the teeth of the shark. So, so we don't really want to portray sharks in that light. Of course, we don't want to encourage people to ride sharks either, but so we've got to. We're working with the company right now to find out what the material is, so we can find a compatible paint and make his teeth nice and pearly white again. And yeah, things that only happen to me. And but that's okay. We got this.
I like the blood part.
Yeah.
I think it could. The kids will love it.
Yeah. So Hopefully we'll get
How
that
much?
knocked
How
out.
much will they, Kenny? How much will they pay to ride it in the big tank?
I know, right?
If
Well,
you want to
hopefully-
see the blood.
Hopefully there'll be no blood anywhere. So
I think you should name it, Kenny.
what's that?
I think you should name it.
Hey, not a bad idea. Yeah. We'll
It'd
work.
be kind of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So
I won't be riding, but you know.
Well, you could follow your Finding Nemo theme and call it Bruce.
Yeah, I could do that. Well, whatever we name it, I'm not going to be getting on it either because of my accident-prone history of breaking ribs and tearing ACLs. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we're working with Teresa and getting liability forms and all that. We're working with the company to have the rules and to make it as safe as possible. And it's an exciting deal. I think people are going to love it. It's a 16 by 16 foot arena, basically a inflatable, kind of like a bounce house type ring, but it's a square, and then the bull shark's in the middle of it. So it's going to be really neat. And then the VR equipment arrived yesterday because of the COVID issue. And the workers, the installers, would be coming from Louisiana, which right now, from what I understand, is one of the locations that requires a 2-week quarantine of the workers, which really complicates things for the company. I don't blame them. So they're working with our staff. We're going to do the install of the VR. It's remarkably simple, so we're not too concerned about that. We had a conference call today with the company, and they're walking us through it, and they're very helpful. And they're going to get us written step by step, hopefully by tomorrow, and then we'll start assembling that VR in place, which is going to be on the south end, right by the shark exhibit, where the big black roll-up door is. That space right there that used to contain the green screen. I don't know if you can picture that. And it will be a semi-permanent deal. I mean, and I say semi-permanent is that in just that we can move it in case we need to use the door. Otherwise, it is a permanent thing. And it has multiple programs. So the main one that we're going to start with and keep is a diving with sharks experience. But they have quite a few more, diving with whales and other things like that. And so we'll probably just have 2 at any one given time. Always we'll have the shark one, and then we can promote every time we add a new one. And a really neat deal with it is that they have a Halloween one and they have a Christmas one. And so that would be a lot of fun during the holidays and during Halloween to promote that as well and change things up. So a lot of neat stuff. That's pretty much, we've just had one of these meetings not that long ago, so we haven't had a lot of things going on since then. Is Andrea, are you with us by any chance?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, I'm going to pass the baton to Andrea to discuss a little bit more about the 4th and any other things that she has going on. Does anybody have any questions for me up to this point, though?
I would be down for feeding the sharks.
All right. Mark her down for that. We'll get that done. No blood.
Yeah, I don't
No
need to
blood.
swim with them, but I would help feed them. I will cut whatever up I need to do, and
Awesome. Well,
I don't care.
We can always use the help. Always use help. All right. Andrea, take it away.
Thanks, Kenny.
Sure.
Thank you.
So just touching on some of the things that Kenny said about Boomfest, we're really excited about it. We're also the main sponsor for Freedom Fest that day with the Jinx Chamber of Commerce. So it's the whole day with the Oklahoma Aquarium, so we're excited about that. We're also working with Party to Serve right now to get several food trucks placed in front of the aquarium, as well as a beer garden. So we're looking forward to that because we've never done that before. And then also for July, it's actually the beginning of Sharklahoma for us. Last year was the first year that we did that. So we'll be doing again this year in partnerships with the Jenks Chamber of Commerce. It's just a celebration of all things sharks for obvious reasons with our bull shark collection and our 8 species of sharks. So it's perfect timing that we're getting this new VR machine with the shark experience and that our guests can ride the bull shark as well when they're visiting. But we have several activities lined up for the month. A lot of them are shark feed talks and tours that will take place on Mondays and Thursdays during our normal shark feed times, but we'll be going behind the scenes and showing guests that, and everyone will receive a really cool Sharklahoma shirt. I don't know if you all saw last year, everyone was a big fan of the yellow t-shirts that we had, and so we're making those available for adults this year and really finesse the logo, and so it looks really cool. And then we're also doing another Jaws night that we'll host at the aquarium. We'll obviously be doing our Dive with the Bull Sharks contest. We already have several hundred entries, so we're excited about that. We'll see if another person from Edmond, Oklahoma wins again, since we've had that 2 years in a row now. But we're getting entries from all across the country, and that should be taking place at the end of the month. But we're excited to really share all these different shark-related products. And then Kenny, in his recent update that he sent today, mentioned that we're now at donations for shark teeth along with the wristbands, and that's been a really big success. And so we're really looking forward to packaging that in during Sharklahoma, and we just got our new custom Sharklahoma wristbands in, and so those are really fun as well. So we really expect July to be a big month for the aquarium, both with Boomfest, but also a month long of Sharklahoma.
Very good.
Yeah.
Kenny, a question for you. How are you doing in terms of the financial side, in terms of the number of visitors and so forth?
We're you know, when we first reopened, it was a little shaky, but it's if you look at our revenue and our numbers, it is slowly increasing, kind of like cautiously increasing. So I think we had, and correct me if I'm wrong, Andrea, I think we had a 1,600 person day most recently, which was our highest day yet. So it's getting there. It's slowly but surely increasing. We're pretty pleased at this point with how things are going as far as with revenue, and considering everything that's happened with the COVID. You know, it's boy, we would have had a heck of a year.
Yeah.
This not happened, yeah. But we're doing.
I'm going to guess you've had nothing, no bad surprises on the cost side.
No, I mean, you know, it is what it is, and we're. I think we're fortunate with how well we're doing right now. Honestly, I think we're very fortunate, and so. One of the things that I forgot to add is that we received our jellyfish tank the other day for the new exhibit, and wow, it's big in person. So I added it on. I think I added it on the update. So when you get a chance, you can take a look at that pic, and that's actually one jellyfish tank. So it's pretty impressive. 12 feet long and 8 feet tall, and it weighed almost 3,000 pounds. So it's pretty,
Wow.
Yeah, pretty interesting. So,
Great.
Yeah.
And did we ever hear anything back from? It seems like 5 years ago on the fires in Australia that we sent the money to. Did we ever hear anything from them?
Oh, we sure did. Absolutely. Andrea, you're a lot more eloquent than I am, but it's a great thing going on. Go ahead, Andrea.
Oh, sure. Yes, we actually just heard about a week ago Sunday It's the Animal Rescue Collective in Australia, and they were so grateful to our donations to fighting the wildfires. In fact, they were able to purchase 2 new trucks or tanks to battle the wildfires. So they were actually kind and reached out to us through Facebook and said that we could name them what we thought would be appropriate. And so that's something that we discussed with Matt, and we also asked our audience on Facebook if they had any recommendations. So I think that's something that we're discussing at the next OAF meeting, which I think is next week. So they were so grateful and really, really grateful and happy with that. So it was very kind of them to reach out and let us know that they did receive it.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Yeah, they sent pictures of the 2 water trailers that are ours, and so we'll hopefully have some neat names for it. And, it's a smaller facility, so they really, every penny means a lot to them, and they're on the front lines during all this, and they're continuing to, right now is they still have a lot of things, a lot of animals that they have to rehabilitate at this point. So, for whatever reason, the money got to them late. I don't know why. They said they just recently received it. So I guess, who knows what happened in between here and there, but they did finally receive it. So it's great stuff.
And the interesting thing too is that this animal rescue was actually recommended through the Israel Aquarium. And so it was kind of a really nice partnership that they were able to donate to the same organization that we did.
Are you going to put something up on the website or similar?
We shared it on social media, essentially what had happened, and people were really excited and gave some great recommendations for different names for the water tanks.
The only reason I say is some of us just don't do social media. That's why I was asking. Okay, I'm a troglodyte. What can I say?
We'll get it on the news. That's wonderful. Thanks to everyone who's involved in that. It's great to see the global impact that our aquarium here in Jinx is having. It's really inspiring.
Yeah.
All right. Well, is there anything else from the staff report tonight?
I think I've ran out of material.
Yeah, and just to piggyback on what Kenny was saying too, I really recommend looking at his report that he sent this week, because the biology staff is doing some incredible stuff with the jellyfish work and just building all these new things that we will have for kids and families to visit. But there's also some great stuff happening in the education team, and events is already looking ahead to the Salsa Festival in August, and marketing is obviously just working with all of those different groups. So hopefully you all can check that out today.
Wonderful.
Hey, Kenny.
Yes, sir.
What's a timeline for you guys on this new tank for the jellyfish?
I promised y'all a timeline probably a month ago, I think. But it's kind of tricky right now because the equipment is not coming in consistently. So we have some equipment that has come in and others that are, this is going on month 3. And so we're also, it's a pretty complex deal because it's a lot of jostling things around. It's not that it's unlike the octopus where we can just shut the whole area down and call it ours and then gut it and start right there. It's like we have to find room in our holding facility to move certain animals over, and we have to do it in a manner where when we move them, we're actually going to be working, so we don't just empty tanks, because we don't want to remove too many exhibits from the public for no reason at all. Sure. And then we gotta, and some of those animals are actually going to go into other exhibits, which means we have to take those exhibits down and swap. And then we also have to build our jellyfish grow out as well. So it's prioritizing what we're doing first. So we're getting there, and I think we have a pretty decent game plan. Now that the tanks are in, that helps a lot. The acrylic window for one of the tanks is shipping, I believe, tomorrow. So that's one less thing we've got to worry about. So what we're doing right now, our effort right now is on the smaller tanks that we know we're going to keep. But we're going to add theming to them because the project is part of the project is literally theming the whole gallery. It's more than just 2 exhibits. So we've got the exhibitry guys right now building theming for those small tanks. They're inserts, if you will. I think we're at a point now where we can buckle down and get a realistic timeline. Also, another thing is that I'm having to pull the guys off for various other things right now. This always happens whenever we finish an exhibit. We have like a laundry list of things that have stacked up that needs to get fixed or done that they couldn't work on. And so like as soon as we finish an exhibit, they're trying to catch up on that.
Sure.
It's that type of thing, and they're going to have to now fix the bull shark ride and assemble it, and then now they're going to have to assemble the VR system. So I just lost another week or so right there. It's a little tricky right now, but I will get you a timeline.
No, I
soon.
just was kind of trying to get the ballpark. Has the COVID thing caused more issues, or is this just natural? Even without the COVID, things just don't always come when they're supposed to. Or?
The COVID has complicated it more.
Okay.
All the ins and outs that I mentioned would have been there anyhow, but the equipment being back ordered and things like that, that's a little different for us. We're not used to that.
Okay.
I mean, to the point where I'm questioning whether I ever ordered it. And then I'm scratching my head going, whatever happened to that order? And then I got to dig through emails and go, no, I ordered it. It was 2 months ago or whatever, 6 weeks ago. But and then having to follow up with that. But by all means, that's not the main reason. It just adds to it.
I understand. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you.
But we are shooting for spring break of next year to try to answer your question as best as I can.
There we go. We have a goal. We have a deadline. All right.
All right. Well, any motions to adjourn?
So moved.
All right, let's vote.
Bonds,
Yes.
Montgomery,
Yes.
Lynn,
Yes.
Murray,
Yes.
Rowe,
Yes.
OJ,
Sorry, yes.
Chair Lee.